Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for July 24th, 2013. Here is a visible satellite loop of the Atlantic Basin, and you notice way over here on the far right-hand side is Tropical Depression number 4, probably pretty close to Tropical Storm Dorian at this point. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Time as I'm recording this video, so we'll wait until 11 o'clock Eastern, or roughly that time frame, to see if the Hurricane Center officially upgrades this to Tropical Storm Dorian. It does have pretty good banding features associated with it. In fact, let's see if we can go look at a floater close-up image of the system, and you'll see fairly well organized, pretty good banding features with it. Let's pick one of the visible shots here, and you can see that pretty clearly. There you go, nice banded structure coming in. It's got that S shape to it. Limited convection on the northern semicircle, probably some cooler waters, drier air up there, limiting that convection. But overall, you can see a pretty good curled up band of showers and thunderstorms coming into it. So it might be a tropical storm. Hurricane Center may wait another 6 to 12 hours to see if this persists. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Looking at a track map of it, over the next 5 days, headed on a general west-northwest heading in the vicinity of the northern Leeward Islands, hopefully far enough to the north to limit any impact to that area. And we'll have to see if this is even relevant. The 72, 96, and 120 hour time frame a little in doubt as to whether or not this system will survive. There is some upper level shear out ahead of it that it's going to have to deal with, and cooler ocean temperatures in this region. Just a few different factors that may limit the lifespan of this system. We'll have to wait and see. One thing that I did want to point out, I've been talking about this a lot, and that is the climatology. Over the last 100 years, the depression forming right about in here, and you can see over the past 100 years during this 10-day time frame, this is the July 21st through the 31st climatology points of origin chart. I've shown this several times recently, and you see there's only 3 other areas over the past century where something has developed this early, this far east. So it is a rare event indeed, and a lot of that is because of the way the pressure patterns are and the Saharan air layer. Typically the Saharan air layer putting the literal cap on things. Interesting to note that the last few days it was very strong out here. I'd say very prevalent. It wasn't actually very strong, but it had a lot of wide coverage out here. Now, the Saharan air layer, not much of a concern for the system. There's the depression right there. Some dry air out ahead of it. I think these two will be moving in tandem for the most part. Pretty good moisture envelope associated with the depression, so not a lot of dry air issues for it to have to deal with. Ocean heat content. Now this is important. The depression located right about in here where there is a little bit of ocean heat content. What is that? Well, the surface of the water has to be about 80 degrees or higher, but the deeper that warm water extends into the ocean, the more heat content there is, and you can see that outlined all through this region. Much higher heat content values, especially in the Northwest Caribbean Sea, and that simply means that the 80-degree line extends much farther down into the ocean. So, excuse me, there's more energy available than just at the surface. So, for the time being, the depression located here, but it's going to cross over an area, it looks like, where there's virtually no ocean heat content. Water temperature is 79, maybe 78 degrees. We'll have to see if that weakens it. If it's able to hold its own, it'll be an interesting test to see if these heat content values really do make a difference with a fledgling system like we're dealing with this tropical depression. So looking at the GFS here, this is last night's run, and we're looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere, and here's where the depression is located right now. This is the Cape Verde Islands. Here's the east coast of the United States. Pretty bad outline there, but you get the idea. And upper level winds out in this region, nice and light. General anticyclonic flow around a 200 millibar high. So upper level winds not too unfavorable at all. In fact, they're light enough that this system is trying to develop. Out ahead of it, quite a ways away is a tropical upper tropospheric trough, just a fancy way of saying that there's an upper level cyclonic spin in the atmosphere here, a cutoff low trying to form, and this eventually will fill in and weaken, but it's there and it's providing a lot of wind shear, but our depression is way over here. So it's got quite a few days before it would be in the vicinity of this shear machine, if you will. So let's move on out through time. Here we are at 48 hours. This will be valid 2 nights from now, so Thursday night into Friday. And you can see the depression will be located somewhere in here at this point, and all that shear is still well out ahead of it. Upper level winds in this region still fairly light. Moving on out in time to 72 hours. Again, the upper level shear starting to weaken, but it's still way out ahead of the system at this point, probably located somewhere in here, where upper level winds fairly light overall in this region. And I think that's why the models are showing it at least holding its own, maybe 45 to 50 mile per hour tropical storm. Upper level winds not too bad for the system considering the time of year. 96 hours out, the depression probably located somewhere in this vicinity, and we start to see evidence of maybe another upper level anticyclone developing as this sharp but weakening upper level trough starts to go away, fill in, and dissipate. Finally, by day 5, the depression should be located somewhere in here, and at this point it's hard to say. It looks like an upper level anticyclone trying to develop, but right here is still the remnants of that upper level trough. This could get caught in an area of some stronger wind shear, but this is 5 days out, and as good as the models are, you just never know. It could be dissipated by then, it could be stronger. If it's farther to the south, it'll be in a better environment. So you folks here in the Lesser Antilles, definitely keep an eye on it. It's hurricane season. You don't need me to tell you to keep an eye on things. You know that already, but it's going to be in your neighborhood, so you're going to want to watch it closely. Hopefully, it'll not be much of an issue, but if it is, you want the most lead time that you can possibly get to prepare in case it is something you have to deal with. The rest of the tropics, pretty quiet, nothing really to monitor, even in the eastern Pacific. There's an area of interest out there well off the coast of Mexico that'll be moving away, so no sense in even talking about it at this point, and everything else is generally nice and quiet. Alright, well that's it for today. Again, I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always a privilege to do these videos for Hurricane Pro and Hurricane HD. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.